Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Hare Krishna, it's June 30th, 2024. This is a Bhakti Yoga Krishna Consciousness Enlightenment program. And we're studying Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, entitled Nature, the Enjoyer, and Consciousness, text 21, 13.21. Here in our home here, there's Bhakti Hugo, Damayanti, Bhakti Valerie, Abhi Wolf, Hari Gopal, Nitya Gopal, and here online is Shama Priya from Wales or somewhere in the world, maybe Wales, and Anasuya Ladini Shakti, I think they're in Czechia, and George and Danielle and Anandini and Bhaktin Payal. Payal, I'll mention that, as you heard, Bhakti Hugo is here, and I shared with him about our conversation yesterday. I just want to let you know that. There was this kind of like mystical super soul interaction. Maybe later in the program we'll get to it, but it definitely deepened the faith of all of us that like there must be a higher power, because by chance it could not have happened. It's actually true. Okay, text 21, chapter 13. Karya Karana Kartritve Hetu Prakritir Uchyate Purusha Sukadukanam Bhoktritve Hetur Uchyate Karya Karana Kartritve Hetu Prakritir Uchyate Purusha Sukadukanam Bhoktritve Hetur Uchyate Karya Karana Kartritve Hetu Prakritir Uchyate Purusha Sukadukanam Bhoktritve Hetur Uchyate Karya Karana Kartritve Hetu Prakritir Uchyate Purusha Sukadukanam Bhoktritve Hetur Uchyate. Hare Krishna, Payal and Zain. Hare Krishna, good to see you.
Karya Karana Kartritve
Karya Karana Kartritve
Hetu Prakritir Uchyate
Hetu Prakritir Uchyate Purusha Sukadukanam
Bhoktritve Hetur Uchyate
Bhoktritve Hetur Uchyate Karya Karana Kartritve Hetu Prakritir Uchyate Purusha Sukadukanam Bhoktritve Hetur Uchyate
Karya Karana Kartritve
Karya Karana Kartritve
Hetu Prakritir Uchyate
Hetu Prakritir Uchyate Purusha Sukadukanam Bhoktritve Hetur Uchyate. Would anyone else online or in person like to chant the verse?
Karya Karana Kartritve
Karya Karana Kartritve
Hetu prakritir uchyate.
Hetu prakritir uchyate.
Purusha sukha dukhanam.
Purusha sukha dukhanam.
Bhaktve hetu uchyate.
Bhoktritve hetu uchyate.
Arya Karana Kartritve.
Arya karana kartritve.
Hetu Prakritir Uchte.
Hetu prakritir uchyate.
Purusha Sukha Dukhanam.
Purusha sukha dukhanam.
Bhoktritve Hetur Uchyate.
Bhoktritve hetu uchyate.
Arya Karana Kartrive,
Arya karana kartritve.
Etu Praktir Uchate,
Hetu prakritir uchyate.
Purusha Sukha Dukanam,
Purusha sukha dukhanam.
Bhaktrive Hetur Uchate,
Bhoktritve hetu uchyate.
Arya Karana Kartritve,
Arya karana kartritve.
Hetu Prakritir Uchate,
Hetu prakritir uchyate.
Purusha Sukha Dukhanam,
Purusha sukha dukhanam.
Ritve Hetur Uchate,
Bhoktritve hetu uchyate. Karya, effect. Karana, cause. Kartritve, in the matter of creation. Hetu, instrument. Prakriti, material nature. Uchyate is said to be. Purusha, the living entities. Sukha, happiness. Dukhanam, of distresses. Bhoktritve, in enjoyment. Hetu, instrument. Uchyate is said to be. Translation: nature is said to be the cause of all material activities and effects, whereas the living entity is the cause of the various sufferings and enjoyments in this world. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The different manifestations of body and senses among the living entities are due to material nature. There are 8,400,000 different species of life, and these varieties are the creation of the material nature. They arise from the different sensual pleasures of the living entity, who thus desires to live in this body or that. When he is put into different bodies, he enjoys different kinds of happiness and distress. That's an interesting phrase. Pause there. Okay. When he's put into different bodies, he enjoys different kinds of happiness and distress. We don't enjoy distress, but Prabhupada says, yes, we do. And there's other places where Prabhupada uses language, yes, in the living entity and conditioned life. Living entity and conditioned life suffers different types of happiness and distress. But we don't suffer happiness. And he's saying, yes, we do. Okay. So let's just note that as we continue. His material happiness and distress are due to his body and not to himself as he is. In his original state, there is no doubt of enjoyment. Therefore, that is his real state. Because with the desire to lord it over material nature, he is in the material world. In the spiritual world, there is no such thing. The spiritual world is pure, but in the material world, everyone is struggling hard to acquire victims who present different pleasures to the body. I'm sure no one here tries to acquire victims to. Anyhow, that's what it says. It seems to include us. Not so sure what's happening here. We'll read that again. The spiritual world is pure, but in the material world, everyone is struggling hard to acquire victims who present different pleasures to the body. It might be more clear to state that this body is the effect of the senses. The senses are instruments for gratifying desire. Now, the sum total, body and instrument senses, are offered by material nature, and as will be clear in the next verse, The living entity is blessed or damned with circumstances according to his past desire and activity. According to one's desires and activities, material nature places one in various residential quarters. The being himself is the cause of his attaining such residential quarters and his attendant enjoyment or suffering. Once placed in some particular kind of body, he comes under the control of nature because of the body, being matter, acts according to the laws of nature. At that time, the living entity has no power to change that law. Suppose an entity is put into the body of a dog. As soon as he is put into the body of a dog, he must act like a dog. Simply stated there. He cannot act otherwise. And if the living entity is put into the body of a hog, then he is forced to eat stool and act like a hog. Similarly, if the living entity is put into the body of a demigod, he must act according to his body. This is the law of nature. But in all circumstances, the super soul is with the individual soul. That is explained in the Vedas as follows. Vasuparnasa yuja sakaya. The Supreme Lord is so kind upon the living entity that he always accompanies the individual soul and in all circumstances is present as the super soul or Paramatma. This is chapter 13, text 21. Welcome, Mother Divya. Hare Krishna. Thanks for attending. Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatirmirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svaya Bhupakadamayam Darati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaisnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitan Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanditam Cha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamani Hari Priya Vancha Kalpata Yubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Bhagavad Gita chapter 13 text 21. Karya Karana Kartritve Hetu Prakritir Uchyate Purusha Sugadukanam Bhoktritve Hetur Uchyate. Nature is said to be the cause of all material activities and effects, whereas the living entity is the cause of the various sufferings and enjoyments in this world. Hare Krishna. Okay, let's unpack this verse in purport, see where we go. Hare Krishna Rukmini. Interestingly, we had a Rukmini appear in person and online at the same time. We really did, like practically the same time. Hare Krishna. There must be a God. Okay. All right. So, yeah, actually, so about 8 years ago, we published the second edition of Relationships That Work, The Power of Conscious Living. And Kathleen McKee, she contacted Peter Burwash, who I had some contact with going back to 1995, and she convinced him to write the foreword for the second edition of Relationships That Work. So why am I mentioning that? So Peter Burwash, in that foreword, he just If you have any clue, Peter Burwash is, raise your hand.
Based on your story.
Based on my story, is it? Okay, yeah. So he was actually a touring tennis pro in the 1970s. He would room at tournaments with players like Arthur Ashe. Don't tell me you don't know who Arthur Ashe is. Okay, he was a champion. He was a black-bodied, known as a fine human being. And Peter Burwash said that Arthur Ashe was the finest human being on the tennis tour. Personally, he told me that. And so, anyhow, Peter Burwash describes himself, and then after his tennis touring days, he established a tennis teaching company, and it still is. I mean, Peter Burwash passed away about a year ago, in the 70s, but it's called Peter Burwash International, and it's the most successful tennis teaching company in the world, and which is significant because like there was many like big name champions who established tennis teaching organizations, but they weren't as successful as Peter Burwash. So anyhow, he wrote many books on vegetarianism and leadership, and if you see pictures of Burwash, he's wearing these funny beads there, like that. So Peter Burwash tells the story in the foreword. He describes himself as this kind of like very selfish, self-absorbed youngster, and like very arrogant and like that. That's why he describes himself. And then something happened, and then somewhere maybe in his 20s, in the 1970s, that he had a business partner, and Burwash got cheated. Burwash got cheated out of a lot of money. And then he said, and at that time, he met a spiritual teacher. In the foreword, he doesn't say who the spiritual teacher is, but I'll tell you, it was A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. And he said, my spiritual teacher who told him the two most important things he ever heard. And he met Prabhupada in Mayapur. It was either 1976 or 1977. He said, the spiritual teacher told me two most important things completely changed my life. One, and those two things relate to this verse. That's why I'm talking about tennis here. Okay, so one, spiritual life, Prabhupada told to Burwash there in Mayapur. And Burwash was like victimy and complaining, and this happened to me. And so Prabhupada said, one, Hare Krishna Zain and Bhaya. Okay, Jai. One, spiritual life begins when you understand the law of karma. Till then, no spiritual life. Two, don't be angry at the instrument of your karma. The two things Prabhupada told Burwash. All right. So that is so much of this verse. It doesn't mean like never get angry. There is spiritual anger, but that probably won't be a focus of this class. So, all right. So spiritual life begins when you understand the law of karma. So there's the misconception, the myth is karma is kind of like this kind of like victim. It's like this victim-y philosophy. Well, that's because it's my karma. What can I do? It's too bad. It's my karma. This karma stuff keeps happening to me. Poor me. So that's misconception. Actually, karma is synonymous with 100% radical personal responsibility. 100% radical. So that's what Prabhupada's saying there. And there's sometimes in different Safato programs, we explore 3 dimensions of responsibility: experiential, practical, spiritual. We won't go into that so much here, but they all are connected with this verse. So that's what my understanding of what Prabhupada's saying to Burwash. He's saying it once we accept that like there's no mistake in the universe, right? It's my life is unfair, and this isn't. Why did this person? Why was I born? Why is that person have a nicer house? Why is he getting appreciated? What? There's a mistake here. All right, and so karma means accepting I'm 100% responsible for the circumstances of my life and the context of life, including the circumstances of my birth. So that can be like, oh, well, that's kind of, That's kind of embarrassing to look at, but then it's empowering. Right, in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada emphasizes that, right, there's five essential topics of Bhagavad Gita, right? Ishvara, or God, Jiva, living entity, Prakriti, material nature, Kala, time, and Karma. Of the four are eternal, and one is temporary, Karma. Karma can be changed. How do we change karma? Well, ultimately by bhakti. Even by choosing conscious living, sattva, knowledge, consciousness, we've transcended our karma. It's actually true. We've stepped out of our past. And so that's the essence of what we do in coaching and facilitation, looking at pattern, and then we get to make a different choice, and we're not just driven by the nature and nurture of the karma that we created. So it's sattvic living, and now I'm eternally liberated. Maybe not. Okay, so to be eternally liberated, that's different, but we can be at least momentarily liberated simply by being conscious. And then, it was my habit to just react in that way. And now I'm choosing a different response in this relationship, in relation to my health, in relation to my sleeping habits, my eating habits. So we're transcending, the machine of karma that we created from the past. Okay. Hare Krishna. So, so karma synonymous with 100% personal responsibility. Hare Krishna, Naveen Krishna, Hare Hare Bol. So, okay. Then, all right. So, as long as we're in Maya, we're going to create karma. Okay. So Maya means fruit of activities. It means we get entangled in creating more and more karma. Maya, that's the, well, okay. We can say the opposite of karmic activity is lila, where we're not pulled by the ropes of the gunas to create more karma and to suffer and enjoy the effects of the karma we've created. It's described that actually just 2 days ago, Valerie hosted a program and Ganesham Prabhu gave a class, very sweet, powerful class, as he always does. And he kind of really deconstructed karma at its different levels, right? There's the kind of the pre-seed, and then there's the seed, and then there's the manifestation. Okay, kind of like pre-seed could be like I've committed a crime, and the police haven't caught me yet. Okay, but it's there. It's going to happen. It's there. I'm going to happen. So then, kind of manifest karma. Well, we can say that's this. We can say these bodies. This is like fossilized karma. Okay, this is okay. How do I know if I'm material conditioned? How do I know if I'm implicating karma? Well, this stuff. This is it. This is like fossilized karma. Except this is the proof that I'm not a pure devotee. Whatever I like to tell myself. This is it, this stuff, okay? So this is the fossilized karma. And so karma is about, some people are familiar with the transformative communication terminology, like karma is all about have to. I'm pulled, I'm pushed, I'm pulled, I'm pushed. And at that, there's a verse, Natasya Karyam Karanam Chavidyate. So for God, Krishna, and those who are fully engaged in bhakti, there's no have to. Everything is pastime. Even if we look at that word from an ordinary sense, right? Ordinary sense, like I have to go to work, I have to go to this job. But on the weekend, my pastime is I play golf, I play tennis, I hike in the woods. That's my pastime. Okay. So, of course, even pastimes in material life, there's also there's modes of nature involved. But so, okay, so in spiritual life, and that's what Prabhupada's getting at here, in spiritual life, everything's 100% pastime. That's why even for the pure devotee, we don't even say, technically speaking. Sometimes Prabhupada will say Krishna's birthday, but then more scientifically, we say Krishna appears. Srila Prabhupada, Jesus, they appear and disappear. It's not like a birth and death forced by the karma and forced by Maya. Okay. So yeah, so Leela, it's described where I worship that transcendental seat known as Svetadvip, where in their unalloyed spiritual essence, the Lakshmis as loving consorts practice the amorous service of the Supreme Lord Krishna, where every tree is a transcendental purpose tree, where every step is a dance, every word is a song, where the all water is nectar, the flute is the favorite attendant, and effulgence is full of transcendental bliss, where all the supreme spiritual entities are always enjoyable and tasty, where numberless milk cows always emit transcendental oceans of milk, and where there is eternal presence of transcendental time who is ever present and thus not subject to, devoid of past and future, not subject to the quality of passing away even for the space of half a moment. That realm is known as Goloka, only to a very few self-realized souls in this world. So that's Leela. Just if anyone would like to come closer, because I see there's someone on the porch, they might want to get in. If you, yeah, yeah. I don't bite. Thank you. All right, so Leela means everything is from joy, everything is from purpose, everything's from inspiration. Nothing's from fear, nothing's from neediness. And so Srila Prabhupada is saying here, in his original state, there is no doubt of enjoyment. That means the soul. So that's our nature, that Leela, the ever anandam buddhi vardhanam, shudyadhyasmad brahma sakyam tvanantam, ever increasing spiritual bliss. And actually, just 2 or 3 days ago, I had some correspondence exchange with my Vartma Pradarshak guru. His name is Stambadas. He lives in High Springs, but I think it's been like 20 years since I've seen him, even though we're in the same county. But we had, we exchanged correspondence. So he was, yeah. So one thing he wrote me, he was talking about Maya, and he was described Maya as sending us, it has broadcasting to us 10 million ads every minute, 10 million advertisements every minute. So we can, yeah, this is the fact. So we can think of Maya as having like 2 departments, like an organization has 2 departments. So, okay, so there's the advertising department, and the advertising department, right? Advertising, it's not about you want this, no. You need this. You need this. You cannot exist without this. Your status is destroyed if you don't have this. Your health is destroyed. Your any sense of security, it only if you buy this, and it's quite effective. So Maya, and whether it could be something overt or something, you need that respect. You need to win that competition of who's dressed nicer, who has the nicer car, or who has that house on the hill, Or you don't want this. You need this. You need to be desperate to get it. So Stamber was saying he's the one who served me that prasad back in 1980. And that's why I'm here. Okay. So yeah, so Maya's giving like 10 million ads per minute. And I thought, like, he's not exaggerating. Okay. So Maya has an advertising department. It's quite together. And then there's a manufacturing department, because everything that they advertise they need, then there's another function of Maya that creates it. There's like a whole factory. You happen to need this. We know you need it. And here it is. Just see that shiny object. Okay. So all of that influenced by Maya. Then we're going to do material karma. I mean, there's also Krishna karma. That's kind of another thing. It's like activities for Krishna. It's a synonym for bhakti or shuddha. So then we're influenced by Maya. We're going to be entangled in karma. And then we're alienated from the self. And then let's just look at this, because this verse is just, my view, like chapter 13 is probably the most sophisticated chapter of Bhagavad Gita philosophical, probably the most complex from my point of view. So nature is said to be the cause of all material activities and effects. So let's consider that. So nature is the cause, whereas the living entity is the cause of the various sufferings and enjoyments in this world. So this whole idea of cause, this is kind of straightforward, but there are complexities. And I'm not claiming I have, much realization. At the same time, let's explore it, and then we'll go to some questions and comments. All right, so let's say, Prabhupada talks about 8,400,000 different species. So these are like, each species, each body is like a different prison house. Yeah, just telling it like it is. It is like, it's like a different type of apartment. We wouldn't be more about, but like, just like in prison, there's maximum security, and then there's minimum security, and in between. So then, okay, so let's say, so there I am in prison. See, on Friday morning over Prasadam, I shared a visiting prison story. I'm looking at Valerie because she was there at that discussion. So yeah, this was in the early 1990s, and the director of the ISKCON prison ministry, his name was Chandrasekhar Prabhu. For about 15 years, it's been Bhakti Lata Gautier, graduate of all software programs. I always like to throw that in. So in the early 90s, and it was Chandrasekhar Prabhu. And I went with him actually twice, 92 and 93. Once even like before Abhi was born. This is real ancient history. Okay. So we went to a prison like far right there by where Bhakti Oasis is. It was either right before Pensacola or right after Pensacola. It was called the Eglin Air Force Base. Eglin Air Force Base. And so it's like, it's many hours from Gainesville, Alachua. And we drove, and so we drive into the prison. There's some guards. It's an Air Force base, some guard. And first thing I noticed, there's some tennis courts and people playing tennis. Okay. I felt some envy because I for about 12 years, because I joined the Hare Krishna movement, I hadn't played tennis like I was doing in my teenage and youth years. I was on the high school tennis team. Of course, as I advanced into devotional service and years went on, then I played tennis again as I got more realization of seeing Krishna everywhere. Okay. Yeah, I'm good. I'm getting support from you. Yes, yeah. Okay, yeah, what's it? Stavara Jangamadeki, now Deki Taramurti, Sarvatra, Hayanija, Ishta Devasporti, the advanced Mahabhagavat sees, he doesn't only see them, he sees Krishna everywhere. So as I advanced, I picked up the racket again. Yeah, everyone's again. Yeah, right. Okay, good. All right. So I felt a little envy at that time because I figured these are the generals and these are the administrators and they're playing tennis. And then we go through some security. We go through some security and we get to there was a prisoner there and he was practicing Krishna consciousness. He invited us in. And then there was about 20 prisoners, and we did a program, Chandrasekhar led Kirtan, I led a Bhagavad Gita discussion, and Chandrasekhar brought, so they allowed us to bring some prasad. It was a wonderful program. And then during the program, so then I learned during the discussion that it wasn't the generals and the administrators playing tennis, it was the prisoners. It was the prisoners. And this was a minimum security prison. And even the prisoners who were in the Bhakti Yoga program, they were kind of saying, yes, just yesterday we had a state congressman come into the prison because he did some bribery or something like that. And we have so the prisoners were like bank managers and high-level politicians, non-violent crime. And there was no barbed wire. So it's first class prison. Okay. But they weren't free. Because like, if you step over the line without permission, then you go to the then you go to the maximum security. I said, okay, well, this week I'd like to go to Hawaii with my friends, but no. Okay, so there's relatively freedom. So just like there's iron shackles and velvet shackles. Okay. And so let's say, yeah, if we're in prison, and then we could say, so why am I in prison? What's the cause? The cause is the judge. We could say the cause are the construction workers who built this prison. And there's truth to all of that. There's truth to all of that. Right, so that's like nature. That's nature, right? There's truth to all of that. But really the cause is that I committed a crime and I violated people's rights. So I'm actually the source of being in that particular cell. I'm the source of being in this cell that's named David Wolf. Okay. So I had a particular desire to enjoy in a certain way. And then the different judges and Yamaraj and the modes of nature and the different demigods, they arranged a particular Shariram Yadabatnoti Yachap Yudkamdishram Kritvetani Semiti Bayogandani Ivashaya. That is, the air carries aromas. Similarly, the spirit soul carries its consciousness, its conceptions from one life to the next. And as a result, Bhagavad Gita says we get a particular type of nose and tongue and eyes and everything perfectly suited for the cell that we desired and that we deserve. So the cause, an analogy that comes to mind, I've once in a while used it in classes. Let's say it's like a carnival. And you got these, like one of these games where it's like you got the big mallet and you bang the mallet and then the ball goes up and it rings the bell. And it rings the bell. Okay, and just let's look at this in terms of this verse. So let's say there's like a 4-year-old child, little child, and says, Dad, I want to do that. I want to do that. And you want to do that? Okay, that's good. So Dad pays, the carnival guy, like that. And then, now the 4-year-old, he can't even pick up the mallet, can't even pick it up. But Dad's like, okay, ready, and Dad's like behind him. Okay, here we go. And the bell rings. Okay, who rung the bell? Who rung the bell? We could say the 4-year-old. But the 4-year-old wasn't even strong enough to pick up the hammer. True, but if it wasn't for his desire, wasn't for his desire, it wouldn't rain. We could say, well, it's the one who constructed it. We could say it was the dad, the modes of nature. So Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing here, okay, his material happiness and distress are due to his body and not to himself as he is. In his original state, there is no doubt of enjoyment. So let's let that sink in. So in our original state, we're like joyful and happy. And our original state is available now. To whatever degree we act in our original consciousness, That original consciousness, Jiva Rasvupoi Krishnera Nichidas, Krishnera Tatasta Shakti, Beta Prakash. Our original consciousness is bhakti, service to God, service to Krishna. Okay, so that means giving up the desire to lord it over giving up the desire to be a criminal. We have a desire to be a criminal, we'll be in a prison cell. That's a material body. So again, for a person who's like Jesus or Srila Prabhupada, they might appear to be in a material body, but that's just our perception. They're choosing to be here. That's pastime. So this bhakti, this Vaikuntha, we quoted the verse before, where every step is a dance and every word is a song. That's transcendental. And the process, so there's different processes. There's jnana, there's mystic yoga, there's karma, and there's varnashram, there's different processes. And all the processes other than bhakti are rooted in matter. And by engaging the process, we can come to higher and higher levels of matter and ultimately choose transcendence. But bhakti is the process itself is rooted in transcendence. It's rooted in Goloka. Okay, that's why from wherever we're at, and we're encouraged to cultivate the sattvic qualities, and from wherever we're at, we can connect with bhakti. It's a transcendental process. It's transcendental to karma. It's transcendental to time. Okay, like this idea of eternity, it's not really meaning a long, really long. It means it's outside of time. Just like, okay, it means it's transcendent, it's outside of material activity. Let's say a destination like Orlando. So I'm asserting that Orlando is not transcendental. I'm going to establish that. Okay, so because I can go, all right, well, by engaging in this activity and getting in the car, filling the car up with gas, and then after 2 hours, 15 minutes, I'll get to Orlando. So it's not transcendental to time or material activity. Whereas Goloka Vrindavan, the Vaikuntha, the spiritual consciousness, it's not ultimately dependent on any activity or any time. We can't say, like, we can't even say, well, if I just Ladini made a comment about Disneyland. Okay, well, maybe we'll unpack that later. Thank you, Ladini. So I think in Orlando, it's Disney World, just to make distinctions here. Yeah, okay, yeah, okay. I know my stuff. All right. So, okay, so we can't even say, like, well, if I chant rounds for this many more days, then no. Ultimately, bhakti, it's an energy of Krishna. One Friday in Ganesham Prabhu's class, he also emphasized that. Essentially, bhakti, it's an energy. It's an energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we can't force it. Yes, there are things we can do that support us to invoke that grace, But it's not ultimately dependent on activities I'll do over a certain period of time. So the essence here, as I'm seeing it, is Prabhupada and Krishna are saying, don't spend time to try to increase material happiness and decrease material distress. You're in this particular prison cell, you're going to get a certain type of food, and maybe you get to play tennis, or in this prison cell, you just get half an hour per week in the exercise yard. The goal isn't to get to the first class prison. The goal is get out of the cycle altogether. Okay, get out of the cycle altogether, and spend avyarta kalatvam. It's a quality of a devotee is avyarta kalatvam. A devotee is not interested to waste even one moment outside of pursuing and committing to the highest aim of life for the soul. That's avyarta kalatvam. That's true urgency. True urgency. So Prabhupada uses the analogies here of if a soul gets into the prison house called dog, it's gonna bark. If a soul gets into a prison house called the body, David Wolf, it's gonna bark in a different way, but okay. So the idea is that, okay, like accept the context. Acceptance doesn't mean resignation. Accept it. This is a perfect and complete arrangement to enthusiastically engage in the eternal happiness of the soul, and that's the real business. So this verse, coming to a close here, Sukha Dukkha Nam, right? Happiness and distress. It's reminiscent. Chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita is like, it's a summary of the whole Gita. So like chapter 2 talks about these principles, and this chapter really expands it. So chapter 2, Krishna says, Matras Parshas Tukante Ashitoshna Sukadukana Agama Painunishas Tamstitiksas Vibharata. The appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception. Matras Parshas, sense perception. Right, so I touch. Oh, this is something pleasant to touch. Oh, it's yes. Oh, the weather is perfect. The touch is perfect. Oh, it's 98 degrees with 98% humidity. Oh, this is distress. Okay. And so that's relative. That's relative happiness and distress. Relative means like, okay, what example should we use? Relative means, let's say, pizza. Okay, so let's say we're really hungry and we got a psychophysical nature that like really likes pizza. So we have a piece of pizza. That was great. Pizza is good. I might assert pizza is absolutely good. We just had that conversation with anyhow, we won't go into details, confidentiality, but Shuka and I were talking with someone, anyhow, someone said there are no absolutes. So we suggested the question, are you sure about that? Oh yeah. Are you absolutely sure? Checkmate. Because then it's either, well, there's one absolute, and that one absolute is that there's no absolutes, or I'm not completely sure. So actually you're saying you're open to the possibility. There are absolutes. Okay. Absolute means that which is true and good and beautiful in all time and space. Hare Krishna. So, okay, so pizza. All right, so that was great. Pizza is definitely good. It's great. Okay, second piece. Yep. Third piece. Oh yeah. Okay, but then there comes a point, and each of us would have, maybe for some it's 4, maybe it's 14. Okay, whatever. Okay, we've all had our pizza contests. Okay, but then at some point it's kind of like this 9th piece wasn't as good as the first. Okay, but I'll do one more. Okay, but then at some point, kind of like, no, if you offered me $1,000, I'm not going to have another piece of pizza. But wait, this is a contradiction. You said pizza's good. Is it good or bad? It's really bad. It's really bad. Okay, so that means it's relative. That's matras parshas. It's happiness, distress. Sometimes, like it's freezing cold, we just want some heat. But in the middle of Florida, I just want some cold. So that's it. So Krishna says tolerate, and to tolerate. We just had discussion. So one thing, tolerate isn't just like external. I'm going to tolerate even though you're doing this to me. I'm going to tolerate, and I'm building up all sorts of like bitterness. I'm going to get you back tomorrow, but right now I'm going to tolerate. That's not exactly the tolerance Krishna is talking about. If we're actually tolerating, we're actually peaceful inside. And we're accepting this is a complete and perfect, this is my karma. This is my karma. I'm responsible for this. Sure, maybe from a purposeful place, sometimes we might speak up and protect our boundaries, but to actually tolerate means we don't have our material ego invested in making you wrong and destroying you and showing that I'm right and this and that. Intolerance ultimately is internal. Tolerate without being disturbed. Okay, then the next verse, which is also Krishna's kind of summarizing parts of this 13th chapter. Yaminavyatente te pusham pushar shaba sabaduka sukam dira somitat baya kalpite. Krishna says, one who is equal in happiness and distress and not disturbed by either, such a person is eligible for liberation. So what's that mean? It means that on material platform, whether it's any area of life, health, finances, relationships, residence, just take, people praising us, people criticizing us, whatever, take any area of life. We've all experienced practically every day happiness and distress. Well, this is going just like I wanted. It's like, oh, this is terrible. This isn't how I wanted to write the script. That's always going to be there. So this verse is recommending Prabhupada's, and you can feel Prabhupada's love and compassion here, emphasizing like tolerate that without disturbance. And okay, well and what should we do to continue with ever deepened enthusiasm, ever deepened inspiration to engage in bhakti. And in a Tatenu Kampam Susamikshamono, Budana Eva Makritam Vipakam, Vivan Vapobir, Vidadanama stage Vetio Mukti Pade Sadayaba. So Lord Brahma prays to Krishna. That's liberation, where whatever happened, whether it's good or bad, it's hot, it's cold, it's honor, it's insult, whatever happens, it's an impetus. We've trained ourselves. It's an impetus to deepen our enthusiasm to engage in bhakti under the guidance of the pure devotee. Then we're liberated from karma, from material time, from material gunas, from material energy. And okay, just in closing, so the doubtless what's that word? Etanya vidamanam ichatam aktobyam yoginam nipanirnatam haranamanu kirtanam. The doubtless and fearless way of success. At any moment, whatever combination of happiness and distress, and it could be terrible, tragic distress or elation, happiness, to come to that steady platform. We're recommended the doubtless and whatever our combination of modes, chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This text that we're studying is Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, text 21, and it reads, Karya Karana Kartritve Hetu Prakritir Uchite Purusha Sugadukanam Bhoktritve Hetur Uchite. Nature is said to be the cause of all material activities and effects, whereas the living entity is the cause of the various sufferings and enjoyments in this world. Hare Krishna, thanks for giving your attention to Bhagavad Gita. Danielle and George.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Dear Govinda Das, I feel like you're on fire today.
Hare Krishna.
I also experienced myself as listening, maybe for the first time ever. I feel like I really heard what you had to say today.
Hare Krishna.
I know. I'm really proud of myself in this moment. And so a question arises naturally, happiness and pain, they come and go, just like the summer melts the winter snow. We tolerate them without becoming sad. So that's the little verse I sing to Saraswati.
Okay.
Hearing you, I'm hearing it. And so simultaneously, so we're tolerating, that's the idea, right? We're in that space. Yeah. And I'm questioning about the aspect of care, about really embodying the concept of tolerating and yet acting from a place of deep connection and care to that which we're engaging in. So how not to allow this to become a recipe for apathy? Like how do I integrate, especially with a 4.5-year-old or 34.5-year-old or whatever, like whoever is we're dealing with here. So I'm not in the modes of passion and pain and suffering and, oh, this is so wonderful, and knowing that, oh, I can't hold on to this forever or whatever it is that's going through, but then also not allowing this to become like an illusion of transcendence, a spiritual bypass. Oh, none of that affects me. And then also the trap of just feeling disconnected or apathetic. Or I know that Srila Prabhupada is the perfect example of this. They're like, Srila Prabhupada, the devotees are going to get arrested. He's like, wonderful, like chant Hare Krishna in prison, like what great service, like no one's coming to the programs. Wonderful, chant to the walls, like for everyone's benefit in the walls, like whoever the spiritual entities are, they're living in the microbes of the walls, and also for your own, spiritual benefit. So I see him doing it, but what does it feel like? Like, what can we do? Is there like a way of connecting with true service in this mode of, and I know he's crying, like he's in pain, like he's suffering. He came to take all of our suffering, and he feels that, and I feel that he feels that, and it's true. So what does it look like to have that deep well of compassion as a Vaishnava or Vaishnavi, but then not be in the machinations of the modes? Like, what does that look like? Not that anyone has the answer, but I thought that I would ask you because, yeah, I get you as connected to what you're talking about. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Bhakti Danielle. Thanks for your question and comment. Thank you. And well, I mean, I'm seeing that like Prahlad Maharaj, he describes the devotional heart as paradukkha, feeling the pain of others as his own. There's a lecture some of you have heard me quote sometimes. Prabhupada mentions Prahlad Maharaj's statement, paradukkha, that's a Vaishnava heart. And Prabhupada says, in material life, I just read the transcript of it. In material life, it's the opposite. In material life, it's parasukha. If you're suffering and miserable, I'm happy. And if you're happy and doing well, then I'm distressed and sad. And then Prabhupada says, of course we don't say that. Brilliant psychologist there. Of course we don't say, oh, you're doing good. But to the extent we're in material consciousness, then I want others, like I'm miserable, but if you're more miserable than me, I guess that's happiness. Okay. So, yeah, so, your question for me really gets to the essence of personalism. I think it's distinctive for bhakti because there are so many philosophies, approaches at spirituality as be detached, tolerate, it's all temporary, it's all illusory. Okay. But then where's the heart? So the bhakti and paradukkha, so that I guess the way I'm kind of seeing it somewhat opposite to what you're saying in the sense of, to the extent that I'm tolerating the happiness and distress, the heat and cold, the honor, the insult, to the extent that I'm tolerating that frees me up to really care. It frees me up to really care about people and serve them and serve them because I'm not self-absorbed in whether I'm getting my ego gratified, whether I'm getting the pizza, whether I'm getting honored, whether things are too hot or too cold. So like tolerating that, okay, then I'm freed up, whether the weather's just right or it's too hot, it's too cold. Just no, that's not my goal. And so tolerating the happiness and distress and all of that, then I'm freed up to engage in devotional service, and I'm freed up to care about the people in my life, materially, spiritually, on all levels. Whereas if I'm not tolerating, because I'm getting disturbed because I'm upset about that, and this person criticized me, and this person doesn't deserve that, and it's too hot, it's too cold, then I'm not freed up to care about my children because I'm so self-absorbed. because I'm so self-absorbed for spiritual and material service. So, you know, and for me, again, thanks for the opportunity to speak about this, Danielle. For me, it points to like, in fact, a theme of Bhagavad Gita is detachment with full commitment, full compassionate, caring commitment, 100% participation with non-attachment. Non-attachment doesn't mean apathy. Apathy is mode of ignorance. Like in one sense, at one point, Arjuna became somewhat apathetic. I'm just going to go to the forest. And so that was like his lower modes. So, and yeah, in material consciousness, it's like, this is a contradiction. If I'm fully committed, fully participating, that means I'm attached. But no, actually, it's a full participation and giving up attachment to the results. Material life tends to be, I wish I could just get the results without like doing anything. And then Krishna says to Arjuna, you work hard, you fight fiercely, and you have you're not entitled to the results. What? Okay. So yeah, so and then that's yeah, so then that's like ironically, like, give up attachment, I'll be happy by this external result, that external result. Give up that and simply engaged in my service in full integrity. That's the untouchable, unstoppable bliss of the soul. Nothing material can touch that.
Yeah, I'm hearing a shift from me to we, or in best case scenario, me to he, where I am in the consciousness where I recognize I am the 4-year-old at the carnival, and I'm there with, you know, Srila Prabhupada, Sri Krishna, Chaitanya, and I am just running around. I want to hit this thing, I want to do that thing. And I could shift into a perspective of, okay, what is it that they want me to do? How do I co-create for their bliss? And then as that small child, you know, they're going to facilitate that for me, and then that will become bliss for all of us. As I that's the bhakti essence of this, caring deeply, but linked up with Sri Krishna's desire through Srila Prabhupada. That's really what's fulfilling for me and everyone, and that's where the deep care. Otherwise, it's just ego gratification under the guise of, oh, I'm doing some service. Oh, look at me celebrating like Krishna, when really it's just ego gratification. Oh, my service didn't go well. Oh, my service went really well. And then I'm just dancing around the reality that I'm just in the modes. I'm just in the modes, and I'm under the illusion of transcendence again. So I'm hearing like the shift from me to we, or me to he, it being like outside of my own ego gratification entirely. Really getting into that consciousness of what is going to be fulfilling for the point, which is worshiping Sri Krishna, Sri Radha Krishna. Hare Krishna.
I appreciate your realizations, Danielle, and I appreciate your expansion of the carnival analogy. Thank you. Any other comments, questions? Nityagopal Prabhu.
Thank you very much for this wonderful discussion, and I'm very much appreciating the deconstruction of the whole verse here.
A request for you to talk louder or come closer to the microphone.
Yeah. So what I'm looking at this verse is like these phrases connected to each other, sukha and dukkha.
So
It comes at multiple places Krishna speaks. And here in this verse, I'm getting a very different perception about this sukha and dukkha, what Krishna has been mentioning in the 2nd chapter especially.
Yeah.
So many times people comes and they discuss that, you know, it's because of God I'm suffering, it's because of he's responsible for that, I'm very angry towards him, and I'm atheist now, I don't anymore worship God. So actually it is not God, it is your own karma.
Yeah.
It is the reaction of your karma which is coming to you. The karma is pushing onto you that dukkha, and you're not able to take responsibility, and that's why you're blaming God. Blaming is much easier. The second aspect of it is sukha. Whenever we become happy, so we feel, especially I feel sometimes, oh, it is because of me I'm becoming happy. It is my own karma which is coming to me now. So, but here we don't see the first half of the verse, when karya karana pratyatve hetu prakriti ruchyate. It is Prakriti who is arranging all those facilities for you so that you can get and you can trade off your good karma with that happiness which you're looking for.
Mm.
I may have money, but if the facilities are not there for me to spend this money, I will not be able to enjoy that money.
Mm.
That sukha, I will not be able to experience, although it is my own karma, unless the prakriti creates the arrangement. I'm just trying to see this verse from that perspective.
Thank you. I appreciate Nichigo Paul Prabhu, because I related it to that part of the second chapter. And I appreciate you're saying, like, yeah, in this here, it's a more full, complete. Yeah, sure. There's happiness, there's stress. The whole nature of the working, the whole nature of the carnival setup, and that's it. Yeah, and we're dependent on that. We're even for our happiness, or you gave the spending money example, or even let's say it's like I like to look at things. We like to look at beautiful things like that. But let's say if there's not the sunlight, right? It gets Adi Devik and Adi Bhautik and Adhyatmika. If there's not the sunlight, we like to hear. Yeah, but if there's not the ether for sound to travel, so there's all these arrangements, and we're just, well, I'll talk I statements. I'm so much more dependent than I realize, and that's false ego to think I'm the enjoyer and like that. I appreciate what you brought into the discussion.
So the combination of karma, my karma, and the Krishna's facilitation is important.
Yeah.
And second point, what you were mentioning in the beginning of the purport itself, that suffering the enjoyment and enjoying the suffering.
Yeah.
So I'm just seeing that how a perfect living entity from a highest spiritual standard, they would see that these people are suffering in this material.
Yeah.
Prabhupada's walking in Melbourne, he sees that people are enjoying the golf, playing golf, but Prabhupada is saying they are suffering.
He's like crying that these elderly men are playing golf. It's like it's paining him.
And enjoying the suffering. We are suffering in this world, but we're enjoying that ego. Oh, I can do something independently.
Yeah.
All the Prabhupada says that these living entities are suffering in this material world, but they think they're enjoying because they're thinking that I'm fulfilling my own independent desire. Oh, I can do something away from Krishna. That deep-seated enviousness towards Krishna and deep-seated desire to Lord of God is getting fulfilled. All the suffering, so that is giving a sense of enjoyment. So that is just wanted to.
Thanks for that, Nichigo Paul. Just to kind of follow up on that perspective, the transcendental perspective, and suffering the happiness like that. So okay, like let's say if we look, and Prabhupada references that verse with the dogs, because there's a verse from the 5th canto. Deho deham bhajami loke kastam kamam harte vid bhujamye tabudivyam bhujagen sain yena sattvam shidya jasmad brahmasa kam tvananta. Rishabhade, Lord speaking to his sons, he tells the sons, don't settle for the enjoyments that are available to the stool leaders, the dogs and the pigs. And in this human life is meant to voluntarily do austerity, means to give up immediate enjoyment for that bliss which is ever increasing. And so we can think like, yeah, well, I have such a nice level of enjoyment and like that. But then, okay, if we think of, let's say, a pig wallowing in the mud and eating stool and just slopping here and there, I think that's disgusting. Like if we were made to do that, that would be a torture like that. For the pigs, they have to, yeah, well, that's a pig. But then from the demigod's point of view, whatever is our version of like happiness, material happiness, the demigods are like looking at us like you're like enjoying stool, like that. So I appreciate the perspective. Hare Krishna. Bhakti and Valerie.
One question. You were saying that our body, our material body is karma. This is how I know that I'm not a pure devotee.
Right.
And my first thought was, well, Srila Prabhupada was also in a body.
Yeah.
and Krishna's a body, but it's a little easier for me to understand that Krishna's body is spiritual, and it's harder for me to understand that Srila Prabhupada's body is spiritual.
Yeah.
You were saying that Srila Prabhupada appears and disappears.
Yeah.
But I'm curious if you could speak on that distinction of Srila Prabhupada's body being spiritual.
Okay, yeah. Yes, thanks for that question. Thank you. Okay. So that way, I'll just mention in a recent publication from 2 months ago, we covered this a little bit in the publication Srila Prabhupada Shastra. We have some section on that, and it's so that yes, like, and Srila Prabhupada might appear to be eating, and he appears at glasses like us, and he's a Srila Prabhupada or Jesus or like that, and the so this is a pastime co-created between the pure devotee and Krishna to give what would appear to us as a material body, to enact pastime, to give us a chance to come to bhakti. And it's the okay, as an example, we used a few prison examples. All right, so it's a crude example, but to bring it across. So let's say the warden of the prison, decides to visit the prison, or the governor or the president of the country visits the prison, okay? And so with the prisoners, maybe they go into the, maybe the governor goes into the prison cells like that and is talking. Maybe even the governor will go to the cafeteria and like eat with the prisoners like that, okay, like that. All right, and then someone who's in ignorance, someone who doesn't understand, can look at the situation and go, yeah, that, okay, so, okay. I don't even think I know the name of the governor of Florida. Oh my God, I'm so out of it. Okay, anyhow, so I know the president is Biden, right? God, really up on current events. All right, so let's say somebody, oh yeah, so there's Joe Biden in Rayford prison. I know some of the prisons because I know that Rayford, at least, because I used to do foster care with juvenile delinquents, and Rayford, at least at that time, the 90s, it was the prison where when someone in Florida would go to the electric chair, that's where they had the electric chair. It's pretty near here. Some trivia, okay. So anyhow, so someone would say, there's Joe Biden, he's a prisoner. He's a prisoner. That's it there. He's in the same cafeteria. He's even in the cell. He's a prisoner. He looks the same, like, yeah. But someone with knowledge can see no, because the president, Joe Biden, he can leave when he wants. And if he wants, he could have the gourmet food he wants. He doesn't need to eat the slop they serve in the cafeteria. Okay. So it takes eyes of spiritual knowledge. It's an analogy to go. It appears like the governor is just like, now, okay, an analogy I've heard that Prabhupada uses, it's kind of like, yeah, so Srila Prabhupada's like the body of the pure devotee, it's spiritual. It's not exactly like the Chintamani gems of like Krishna and Vaikuntha, but it's kind of like Prabhupada uses a term like gold plated. Okay, like there's like gold, but then there's like gold plated, or another analogy Prabhupada uses a lot, kind of like iron. Put iron, so iron, it's iron. Put iron in a fire until it's red hot, it's blue hot, it's white hot, and then iron acts like fire. So you can say, well, it's iron, but it acts like fire. So it appear like a material body, but it acts completely spiritually, and it's not subject to material laws, even though from our ignorant view, we might say, oh, the governor is just like all the other prisoners, but that's our clouded Maya. Appreciate your question. Ladini Shakti.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the class. I want to speak a little on this question of Srila Prabhupada, spiritual body.
Yeah.
I spent some time talking with the devotees who like saw the spiritual body of Srila Prabhupada, and I know
Yeah.
some are also here in this assembly, so maybe they have more to say. That like the body of Srila Prabhupada was kind of completely different. Even like, for example, when devotee Mataji told me that her husband was giving massage to Srila Prabhupada, and then when her husband would come back from the service, she would smell her husband's hands because Srila Prabhupada's skin would smell like very fragrant flowers. And it's not that the husband would be using some like fragrant oil for the massage. It's just the Srila Prabhupada's skin had a different fragrance. And also, like we sing, Prema Bhakti Chahahoite Avidya Vinasayate. From him, ecstatic prema emanates. And then so many people who saw him just once, just like one glimpse, they would, break in tears in ecstasy and fall on the ground offering obeisances, even though they didn't know who he was, what he was doing. So, and his skin, like sometimes I look at the pictures and it's so visible how his skin is just so beautiful, even though he's, like more than 70-year-old, he has a skin like a baby. So I think even like from the mundane picture senses, it was visible that it's a different quality of a body, and maybe Navin Krishna Prabhu or Mother Rukmini or who else is here can say more to that experience. I don't have that, but yeah.
Thank you, Ladini Shakti. Thanks for sharing. Rukmini, would you like to express something?
About Srila Prabhupada's presence?
If you'd like to.
Yeah, he was very important. He had like a glow emanating from his body.
Mm.
It wasn't like being around anyone that I met.
Like of a different category altogether.
Completely. He just being in his presence, you could feel that he wasn't from this world. I mean, I've had many mystical experiences in my life because he gave me a gift to be able to see the naked eye. But he looked into my eyes and he showered me with his love for Srimati Radharani and Krishna. And I was in complete ecstasy. I was not, he took me completely beyond the body. There's not even words to really describe. I was only 2 years old when he looked into my eyes, and I felt like a waterfall or a rainbow of his love come into my crown chakra, and I felt every cell in my body was light up like crystals. And when his love filled my whole body, like I literally felt at the tips of my toes, when that energy was completely filled, I was completely free from my body. Like, I was no longer my body, I was pure spirit soul. And it was pure love. I felt complete pure love. His love for I knew clearly it was his love for Srimati Radharani Krishna that he showered me with. And then I was able to be a passenger, and he showed me that he saw many of my lives. Like I was a passenger on a train, and all these lives started going by that he was showing me that he saw. And then he stopped at this this life. And then he saw that he showed me that he saw my future. And that I was going to suffer a lot. And he gave me gifts to be able to make it through, to be here present today. And because of him, I'm here. If it wasn't for his mercy, I would have taken my life many. When I was a teenager, I would have committed suicide. And because he gave me his love, I'm so grateful to be here today. So merciful. He's with us always. He is with us. He's present.
I appreciate your sharing and on what you just shared. Thanks for sharing, Rukmini. I think we're all profoundly moved by your connection with Prabhupada and since many decades, your service, you're making these Krishna dolls, Radharani dolls. So Rukmini shared, he's present because your question, Valerie. So I'm using a terminology, because there's the Vani. Who knows what's Vani? It's like a pop quiz. Yeah, Vani is the vibration. And Prabhupada said real association is vibrational, Vani association. And then there's Vapu association with physical presence. I'll use the term the pre-November 14th, 1977 Bapu. And like Rukmini just shared some experience of association with Srila Prabhupada's pre-November 14, 1977 Bapu. It's a bit of a clumsy term, but I'm using it, okay? So often we hear Srila Prabhupada's fully present by his Vani, his instructions, his lectures, his books, but no longer through his Vapu. So that's not true. So Prabhupada's fully present in his Vani and in his Vapu. If he's not fully 100% alive and present in his Vapu, then what are we doing with his picture in mortar in the altar? Like, I grew up in a non-religious household. It was Reform Judaism, which means I had a bar mitzvah. I got some good gelt. I made a good collection of my bar mitzvah, like that. And so, but there wasn't much God there. But one thing we learned is you don't worship idols. You don't worship the golden calf. So if Prabhupada is not fully 100% present in his Mortian picture, we are doing idol worship. We can know for sure our acharyas and Srila Prabhupada are not engaging us in idol worship. So Prabhupada's pre-November 14, 1977 Bapu is not manifest to our vision. At the same time, Prabhupada is fully present in his Vapu form. And this points to a very practical point, because Srila Prabhupada gave us an altar, and we serve the altar Srila Prabhupada gave us. Now, okay, so like, let's say if someone wants to add a picture to the altar, or a morti, or a picture, and then, okay, that's their choice. And at the same time, if the personality whose picture is on the altar is in any way influenced by the modes of nature, then they're not fully present in that picture, and that's idol worship. And that's a violation of basic Vaishnava principle. So that's vital to keep the sanctity of what Prabhupada gave us. So Prabhupada he's still present. So just what we shared about Prabhupada's pre-November 77 Vapu, that's also true about his Morti and his picture. Thank you, Rukmini. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for your question, Valerie. Anyone else want to share at this point? Damayanti. Just because you want to share now, because you haven't shared yet. That's why I'm asking. But if you want to defer, you can defer.
Thank you for the class and the association. I liked that phrase in the purport where Prabhupada
Yeah.
said acquiring victims.
Acquiring victims, yeah.
It's just so
Oh,
poignant.
yeah.
It's just crazy. It's so true.
It's so true.
And I just analyze everyone in my family and how we're all trying to acquire victims out of each other and victimized by the victimization. There's this enjoying a suffering of victimization because of the other. So it's like I'm still anyway. People may see me as the perpetrator in the family, but they're enjoying acquiring me as a victim
Yeah.
of their victimhood experience.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Mom's the bad guy, and so then you get yeah.
Anyway, it's just I was kind of going around like, oh wow.
Sounds like a whole transcendental Leela in your household there. Yeah.
There's something else. I don't remember what it was. There's something else I was gonna say earlier, but I don't remember what. But that's all. Just the acquiring victims. At least I'll mention that.
Okay, and I'll just follow up on that. Yeah, that's such a powerful terminology. Acquiring victims who present different pleasures to the body, and this reminds also of our conversation on Friday morning. That because we can think of different ways others are trying to victimize us for their pleasure, and we're trying to victimize others. But and this so much relates to karma. It's such a precise scientific law. Because okay, let's say I'm just walking along to try to enjoy myself. I'm not hurting anyone. I'm not acquiring any victims. And maybe I'm walking. Maybe I just want to go to the bar. I just want to enjoy. Okay, but there's no bhakti there. Well, okay, I'm stepping on ants. I'm acquiring a victim for my sense enjoyment. When I'm breathing, I'm killing germs. I'm acquiring a victim because the reason I'm breathing is so that I can really enjoy food and sex. And so then when I step on the ant, when I kill those germs, I'm acquiring victims. So karma, it's basically Newton's law of action and reaction on the subtle platform. So it means at some point in the future, maybe tomorrow, maybe in the next life, someone's going to crush my body so that they can enjoy material happiness. That's what it means. So then the point isn't just to get well, this is just hopeless. It's not hopeless. If to the extent we engage in bhakti, and even to the point of I'm breathing to maintain this body, I'm walking to chant japa, I'm breathing to maintain the body so I get to enthusiastically use it in Krishna's service, then we're not implicated in the karma of crushing the ants. And then even those spirit souls in the body of the germs and the ants, they get purified, they make spiritual advancement. Hare Krishna.
I remember my second thing. It's just you don't have to turn it around, but you said you had an experience yesterday with Dr. Hugo and Kyle.
Yeah.
That gave you proof of God
It was.
existing. So I'd like to hear that.
Oh, we have a request.
I don't know what it was, but she's saying it wasn't part of it.
I mentioned about the experience. I shared with Hugo.
Oh,
Will you share with
yes. Sorry, I was like, what?
Yeah.
That's
We
the
were
connectedness.
talking about you. Do I have permission to share? Okay. So I have a request. Okay, now this was really like a super soul moment.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So I'll share it. I alluded to it earlier. Okay, so I was talking to Paya, and it's been a few months since we've spoken, right? And it's my understanding is kind of like, and this relates to your service, Ladini Shakti, because you faithfully, steadily upload the videos onto the YouTube channel for Bhakti. So my understanding, Pale, was like years ago you used to go there. You haven't really gone there recently, and so just very recently you decided let's take some shelter in that Safito Bhakti Yoga YouTube channel, and we got hundreds, if not more than 1,000 videos there now. Okay, we got like hundreds, and I don't even know how to navigate it, which isn't saying much. I'm no tech wizard. you're surprised to hear. Okay, so, but anyhow, so Payal shared with me that just she went there, and this was yesterday afternoon, and she shared that she found one, and like almost everything there was a lecture, but it was the October 2023 Utah Advanced Seminar Graduation event, right? Utah Advanced Seminar Graduation event. And apparently it's like very moving for you. And it reminded you of your advanced seminar graduation. And at that time you made a solemn vow that you're not going to become a Hare Krishna. You will not, whatever do you like what David and Marie is doing with this foundational advanced seminar, but you will not chant Hare Krishna. Yeah, you will not. And you've clearly violated your vow. Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay. So, and then Payal, so Payal found that one at random, the Utah event. And then she particularly mentioned that there was one young fellow at that event, one young fellow whose sharing was like particularly like impactful and moving for you. And his name was Bhakti Hugo. And so I'm sitting there with Payal, and I'm like, this is really something, because like half an hour from now, I have an in-person conversation scheduled with Bhakti Hugo. They said, oh, because Bhakti Hugo like lives around the block and he comes there every day. No, he doesn't even live in Alachua. And like yeah. Right. He just like happens to, and he happened to have such a schedule right after Payal. And then Payal left, and just like the chances, and then even I went to the YouTube channel. I tried to find the Utah event. I failed. I couldn't even find it. And then it's so like, what are the chances that just she was, let me check that after years, and she would find that one, and happens to be like half an hour before. So this is clearly this truly, with humor aside, it truly deepens my trust in there's higher power, super soul, Hare Krishna. Bhagavad Gita ki.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki.
Hey.
Okay, so now the program is Abhi is going to lead a kirtan. Hare Krishna.
And Balaram's gonna play Mridanga.
Jai.
And so is I.
Thank you for joining.
One day. We can learn and practice. He keeps being practiced.
It's nice to meet you. It's so funny.
Yeah, that's very
It was Monday or Tuesday. I was watching. And, I mean, I don't know what you thought, but it was random. Or not. Not random.
And I remember when Govinda was starting to share the story on the stories that I discovered. I kind of had a projection, like, oh, of all the lectures she found, she must have found the one that I gave here maybe 2 or 3 months ago. No, it wasn't even a lecture. It was a post-advanced seminar graduation when you called it everything she could have watched. And then me and the fact that you and him met like an hour before I came.
Is that me?
First of all,
That was wonderful. So I'm very happy that
Maybe.
yeah, it was inspiring because I was like, okay, I'm gonna come to Rome and they live here in many months. So thank you for being an instrument to get me and my
Yeah, Krishna is always working miracles.
You try.
children have a lot of we're ready for you.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, begin, please.
Prabhupada ki.
Hi.
Krishna Krishna Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Saraswati Gauravani Prajnani Nirvishesha Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki, Hare Nam Sankirtan ki, Prabhupada ki, Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Tora Shokta Shri Srimati Divine Grace A Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai Jai Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Tora Shokta Shri Srimati Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Goswami Maharaj ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki Jai Namacharya Sridharas Thakur ki Jai Prem Sri Gahosi Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan ki Jai Sri Vrindavan Dham ki Jai Sri Mayapur ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham ki Jai Janki Munimai ki Jai Sri Lasi Devi ki Jai Sri Atmardanga ki Jai all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gopinamachari Namaste Srimati Paschati Shesha Bhagavat Prasad Seva Ki Hare Krishna. Thank you, Abhi.